Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy English Spark Channel. I'm so excited to have you here today. I hope you're all feeling fantastic and ready to dive into something super valuable: how to enhance your English listening and speaking skills. Build your confidence and speak more fluently than ever before. Let's get started and light up your English journey. Part 1. Introduction: The Desire for Fluency. Now, I know that if you're watching this video, you've probably been thinking about improving your English skills, whether it's for travel, work, or just to feel more confident when speaking. And let me tell you, I totally get it. I've been there before. When I was younger, I struggled with speaking English, just like many of you might feel today. I wanted to speak fluently. I wanted to have those smooth conversations where everything just flowed easily without having to think too much. But back then, I felt nervous and shy. I would freeze when it was my turn to speak. I was afraid of making mistakes, afraid of sounding silly or being judged. But one day, something changed for me. I had a teacher who gave me some life-changing advice. She said, "You can be fluent, but you have to practice every day. Fluency doesn't happen overnight." At first, I didn't quite understand. I thought that speaking well meant memorizing tons of words or knowing every grammar rule. But over time, I realized that fluency isn't about perfection. It's about practice and patience. It's about consistently making the effort to learn and improve, no matter how small the steps seem. You see, fluency is like building a muscle. At first, it feels weak and uncoordinated. But with daily practice, your skills begin to grow. Just like when you go to the gym to build strength, you don't get stronger after one workout, right? You have to go consistently. You have to work on it every day. And the more you practice, the stronger your English becomes. I know that, right? Now, some of you might be feeling a little frustrated or even overwhelmed. Maybe you've been learning English for a while and still don't feel fluent. Trust me, I've been there. It's completely normal to feel like you're not making enough progress. But I want to tell you this: your efforts are not in vain. Every time you practice, you are building your fluency. Each time you listen to an English podcast, watch a video, or speak with someone, you're making progress. The key is to stay motivated and patient, even when things seem tough. So, why is fluency important? Well, fluency is more than just being able to speak quickly. It's about feeling comfortable with the language and expressing yourself clearly without hesitation. When you're fluent, you can connect with people, explore new ideas, and open up a world of opportunities. And here's the best part: you have the power to become fluent in English. No matter where you start, no matter your current level, you can achieve it. It's not about being perfect. It's about taking those small steps every day, building momentum and believing in yourself. So, if you're ready to start your journey toward fluency, stay tuned. In the next few parts, I'm going to share with you some powerful strategies that will help you practice every day, improve your confidence, and speak English more fluently than ever before. Remember, it's all about the journey, and I'm here to help guide you every step of the way. Let's get started. Let's get. Part 2. Fluency as a process. Planting a tree. Hello again, everyone. I hope you're feeling energized and ready for the next step in our journey to fluency. In Part 1, we talked about the desire for fluency, and now let's dive deeper into understanding how fluency really works. One of the most powerful ways I like to think about fluency is by comparing it to planting a tree. Yes, you heard that right. Fluency is like nurturing a tree. Stick with me, I'll explain why. When you first plant a tree, you don't see any results right away. You place the seed in the soil, water it, and give it sunshine. But for the first few weeks, months, or even years, it doesn't look like much is happening. You might even start to doubt whether the tree will ever grow. And this is exactly how learning English feels sometimes. You might feel like you're putting in so much effort. You're practicing every day, but it seems like your progress is slow. It might even feel frustrating at times, like you're watering a plant and still seeing no results. But trust me, growth is happening beneath the surface. Even when you can't see it, the roots are growing deeper, strengthening the foundation, and getting ready for that big moment when the tree starts to sprout. This is the same for fluency. Fluency doesn't appear overnight. It requires daily, consistent effort even when you don't see immediate results. Whether you're practicing listening to English, speaking to someone, reading a book, or watching a movie, every single action is like adding water to your tree. You might be thinking, but I don't feel fluent yet. How is this helping? Well, that's the beauty of it. Fluency is a process, just like the growth of a tree. The small things you do today will eventually add up. The more you practice, the stronger your English skills will grow. It might take time, but each small effort brings you closer to fluency. Now, let's break it down even more. Imagine this. Every time you practice speaking English, you're planting another seed in the soil. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, and every time you use English in your daily life, you're nurturing that seed. Over time, these seeds will grow into strong roots, forming the foundation of your fluency. But here's something important you need to understand. Just like a tree needs the right conditions to grow, your fluency needs the right environment. Think of this environment as the way you practice. Are you creating opportunities to speak? Are you immersing yourself in English every day? Are you challenging yourself to listen, speak, and read in English? If you give your fluency the right environment, it will grow faster and stronger. The more you expose yourself to English, whether it's listening to podcasts, reading books, watching movies, or talking to people, the more you're nourishing your language skills. And just like with a tree, patience is key. There will be times when it feels like you're stuck in one place, like your progress is slowing down. Don't be discouraged. Just as a tree takes time to reach its full height, your fluency will take time to fully develop. The important thing is to keep nurturing it, to keep watering it every day. Here's another interesting thing about trees. They grow at their own pace. Some trees grow faster than others, and that's okay. Similarly, everyone's journey to fluency is different. Don't compare your progress to someone else's. Your growth is unique to you, and it will happen in its own time. For some of you, this process might feel slow. You might not see the results right away, but I promise you, you're on the right path. Keep nurturing your English skills every day. With each practice, you're building a stronger foundation. With each effort, your fluency is growing. You just have to trust the process. Now, let's talk about something that can help speed up this growth: consistency. Just as a tree needs consistent sunlight, water, and care, your fluency needs consistent practice. Every day, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Whether it's listening to a podcast, speaking with a friend, or reading an article, each small effort is like giving your tree more water and sunlight. The more consistent you are, the quicker you'll see progress. I know that it might seem like it's taking a while, but just like a tree that doesn't show its full size right away, your English skills are quietly growing and getting stronger. So, I want to ask you, how can you start nurturing your fluency every day? Are you taking small steps every day to practice? Are you creating an environment that helps your English grow? Are you giving yourself the time and patience to let your fluency develop? Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Just like a tree doesn't grow overnight, fluency doesn't happen immediately. But if you keep putting in the effort, if you keep planting those seeds every day, you'll start to see your skills grow stronger, just like a tree growing tall and strong. So, don't worry if you can't see immediate results. Stay patient, stay consistent, and trust that every small step is taking you closer to your goal. You are building something strong, and one day you'll look back and see just how far you've come. Thank you for joining me today. In the next part, we'll talk about how to create the right environment for your fluency to grow and thrive. Stay tuned. Part 3. The importance of daily practice. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're feeling ready for another step on our journey toward fluency. In the last part, we talked about how fluency is like planting a tree. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort to grow. Today, we're going to dive into something crucial to that growth: the importance of daily practice. Let me start by asking you a question. How many times have you told yourself that you'll practice your English later? Or when I have more time? We all do it, right? We put off our practice for another day, thinking we'll catch up later. But the truth is, the key to success in anything, especially language learning, is consistency. It's about showing up every day, even if it's just for a little while, and making that small effort to practice. Here's why daily practice is so important. Think of your brain like a muscle. Just like how you go to the gym to work on your physical muscles, you need to exercise your brain to strengthen your language skills. And just like with physical muscles, the more you use your brain, the stronger it gets. But to build that muscle, you need to do it consistently day after day. If you stop for weeks or months, it's like taking a break from working out. You might lose progress, and it will take longer to build strength again. When you practice English every day, you're strengthening your ability to understand, speak, and think in English. Each day you spend listening to English, reading English, speaking to someone in English, or writing in English, you are building connections in your brain. These connections get stronger over time and allow you to access English more easily and naturally. Now you might be thinking, I don't have hours to spend every day practicing. And you know what? That's okay. It's not about how much time you spend. It's about how consistent you are. Even if you only have 10 or 15 minutes a day, that's enough to make a big difference over time. It's like watering your plant every day, just a little bit, but consistently. Over time, those small daily efforts add up to significant progress. Let's break this down a bit further. When you practice English every day, it helps you in a few key ways. Building muscle memory. The more you practice, the more fluent you become. You might not notice it at first, but each time you speak or write in English, you are building muscle memory. When you practice your speaking, Your tongue and mouth get used to forming English sounds and words. When you read, your brain becomes quicker at recognizing words and understanding their meanings. This muscle memory means that over time, you won't have to think so much when you speak or listen. Your brain will just know what to do. Improving confidence. Daily practice leads to progress, and progress leads to confidence. When you speak English every day, you start to get used to making mistakes and learning from them. You realize that it's okay to make errors. That's part of the process. And as you see your improvement, even if it's small, you'll start to feel more confident in your ability to communicate in English. It's this confidence that keeps you going, even when it feels difficult. Developing a routine. Language learning, just like any skill, thrives on routine. Think about any new habit you've tried to develop, whether it's exercising, eating healthier, or learning something new. The first few days are always tough, but once it becomes part of your routine, it gets easier. The same goes for learning English. When you make it part of your daily routine, it stops feeling like a chore and instead becomes something you look forward to. Whether it's practicing for a few minutes in the morning, listening to a podcast during lunch, or reading a short article before bed, making English practice a daily habit will make it feel like second nature. Creating immersion in your life. One of the best ways to become fluent in a language is to surround yourself with it. Create an English environment. The more you immerse yourself in English, the faster your brain will learn to think in English. Daily practice doesn't mean you have to study for hours. It could mean reading an English article, listening to an English podcast while commuting, or even chatting with a friend in English for just a few minutes. This constant exposure makes English feel more familiar and comfortable. And before you know it, you'll start thinking in English without even realizing it. Overcoming the fear of speaking. Speaking is one of the most challenging skills for many English learners. It can be scary to speak, especially if you're afraid of making mistakes or being misunderstood. But the only way to overcome that fear is to speak, and the best way to build your speaking confidence is through daily practice. The more you practice speaking, even if it's just talking to yourself or recording your voice, the more comfortable you'll become. Over time, speaking in English will start to feel more natural, and that fear will fade. Reinforcing vocabulary and grammar. Daily practice helps reinforce vocabulary and grammar structures. The more you use words and phrases, the more likely you are to remember them. In language learning, repetition is key. For example, when you learn a new word or a new grammatical rule, you need to see and use it multiple times before it becomes part of your active vocabulary. By practicing every day, You're giving yourself the repetition you need to solidify that knowledge. So, you see, the importance of daily practice cannot be overstated. Consistency is what leads to improvement. The more you practice, the more your English skills will grow, and the faster you'll reach fluency. Let me give you a few tips on how to make daily practice easy and enjoyable. Set a small goal every day. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Maybe you want to learn 5 new words, or practice speaking for 10 minutes. Setting small goals helps you stay focused and motivated. Make it a habit. Find a time during the day that works best for you to practice. It could be first thing in the morning, during your lunch break, or before bed. Make it part of your daily routine. Use real-life materials. Read news articles, watch TV shows, listen to podcasts, anything that interests you. The more you engage with real-world English, the better. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your learning. Write down what you learned each day and how you felt. It's encouraging to look back and see how much you've improved. Remember, just like planting a tree, your fluency will grow with consistent care and attention. Daily practice is the water, the sunlight, and the soil that your fluency needs to thrive. Thank you for joining me today. In the next part, we'll talk about how to make your practice more effective and how to stay motivated on this journey. Stay tuned! Part 4. Thinking in English. Hello again, everyone. I'm so glad you're sticking with me on this journey to fluency. In the last part, we talked about the importance of daily practice and how consistency is key to building your fluency. Today, we're going to dive into something that is absolutely crucial to becoming fluent in English: thinking in English. You might be wondering, what does it mean to think in English? Well, let me tell you, it's one of the most powerful skills you can develop if you want to speak and understand English more naturally and fluently. It might sound simple, but it's actually a game changer. So, let's break it down. What does it mean to think in English? When we think in our native language, we're translating our thoughts into English as we speak. For example, if you want to say something in English, you first think about what you want to express in your native language, and then you translate it into English. This process takes time, and it can slow you down when speaking, because you're not able to instantly find the right words in English. But thinking in English means that you're no longer translating from your native language to English. Instead, you're thinking directly in English. It's about developing the ability to form thoughts, ideas, and sentences in English without needing to go through the translation process. The more you think in English, the more natural and fluent your speech will become. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're walking down the street and you see a dog. Instead of thinking, "Oh, I see a dog" in your native language and then translating it into English, you should try to think in English right away. You could think, "There's a dog," or "That dog looks friendly." You're forming your thoughts directly in English, which helps you connect with the language in a much more intuitive way. Why is thinking in English so important? Now that we've defined what it means to think in English, let's talk about why it's so important. The process of translating your thoughts from your native language into English is what slows you down when you're speaking or listening. This is why many learners of English find it difficult to keep up with conversations. You're not just processing the English words, you're also mentally translating them from your native language, which takes time. When you start thinking in English, you'll find that you don't have to pause and think about the translation. Your brain will automatically pull out the words you need, and this will help you speak more fluently and more quickly. In fact, thinking in English helps in all areas of language learning. Speaking. You can express your ideas without hesitation because you don't need to translate. You'll speak more naturally and your sentences will flow. Listening. You'll be able to understand English more quickly because your brain is processing it directly in English rather than waiting for translation. Reading. When you read, your brain will recognize English words immediately, without needing to translate them into your native language first. Writing. You'll write more naturally and fluidly, and it will be easier to structure your thoughts in English. How can you start thinking in English? I know. It sounds like a big step. How do you go from translating everything to thinking directly in English? The good news is, it doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, you can make it a habit. Here are some practical strategies to help you start thinking in English. Start with simple thoughts. Begin by thinking about simple, everyday things in English. For example, when you wake up in the morning, try to think about your plans for the day in English. If you're having breakfast, think, "I'm eating cereal," or "This coffee tastes good." Keep it simple, just everyday situations that you encounter. The more you do this, the more natural it will become. Use visual cues. A great way to start thinking in English is by associating things you see in the world around you with English words. For example, when you look at a car, don't think "auto" in your native language. Think car. When you see a tree, think tree. This helps your brain automatically associate objects with their English names. Over time, You'll begin to expand your thoughts and think in full sentences, not just words. Practice describing what you see. One excellent exercise is to practice describing things in English. Look at an object or a scene and try to describe it in as much detail as possible, without switching back to your native language. For example, if you see a park, try to think in English and say to yourself, "It's a sunny day, and people are walking their dogs. The trees are tall, and there are children playing near the fountain." This forces your brain to form full sentences in English and helps you build fluency. Think about conversations. When you're not in a conversation, practice imagining one. Imagine you're talking to a friend or a colleague. Think about the questions you might ask or the responses you might give. For example, if you're at a cafe, you could think, "I'd like a coffee, please. How about you? Do you want to eat anything with that?" This simulates real-life conversations and helps your brain practice English in context. Avoid translating word for word. One of the biggest obstacles to thinking in English is the habit of translating word for word from your native language. It's important to break this habit. Instead of thinking, "I'm going to the store to buy food" in your native language and then translating it to English, try to think in English directly. "I'm going to the store to buy food." Your brain will begin to process English in a more direct way. Speak to yourself in English. A fun way to practice thinking in English is to speak to yourself in English. This might feel a little strange at first, but it's a great exercise. If you're at home, try narrating your day or your thoughts in English. For example, while cooking, you might say to yourself, "I'm chopping vegetables. Now I'm boiling water for the pasta." It may seem silly, but it's a fantastic way to get your brain used to thinking and speaking in English. Listen to English regularly. Another way to build your ability to think in English is to immerse yourself in the language. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. Watch English TV shows, listen to podcasts, and read books or articles in English. This consistent exposure will help your brain start processing English more naturally. Be patient with yourself. Remember, this is a process. Thinking in English doesn't happen overnight. You'll have moments where it feels difficult, and you might find yourself slipping back into translating. That's okay. The key is to keep practicing every day. As time passes, you'll find that thinking in English becomes easier and more automatic. How long does it take to start thinking in English? Now, this is a great question. It really depends on you. Some people can start thinking in English after a few weeks or months of consistent practice, while others might take longer. The important thing is to keep at it and not get discouraged. Fluency doesn't happen in a day. It's a process, and thinking in English is one of the crucial steps in that process. Thank you for joining me today as we explore the power of thinking in English. I hope these strategies give you a clear path forward. Remember, fluency is about progress, not perfection. Keep practicing, keep thinking in English, and soon you'll start to notice how much easier and more natural your English becomes. In the next part, we'll talk about how to keep your practice effective and fun. Stay tuned, and let's continue this amazing journey together. Part 5. The Role of Listening. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to continue our journey to fluency with you. In the last part, we explored the power of thinking in English and how that can help you speak more naturally and quickly. Today, we're going to focus on something that is just as important, if not more so, when it comes to mastering English: the role of listening. If you want to become fluent in any language, listening is one of the most important skills to develop. In fact, it's often said that listening is the foundation of speaking. Why? Because before you can speak fluently, you need to be able to understand what others are saying. You need to recognize words, phrases, and sentences so that you can respond appropriately and keep the conversation flowing. So, let's break down why listening is so crucial and how you can use it to improve your English. Why listening is crucial for fluency. When you listen, you are doing much more than just hearing words. Your brain is actively processing the sounds, figuring out the meaning, and connecting it to your own knowledge. This is how you learn how to form sentences, use new vocabulary, and understand different accents and speaking styles. Listening helps you internalize the language. Building a strong foundation. Listening helps you build a solid foundation for speaking. The more you listen to English, the more familiar you become with sentence structures, grammar patterns, vocabulary, and even intonation. When you listen to a native speaker or an English learner, you begin to understand how the language flows naturally. You start to recognize the rhythm, the pauses, the stress on words, and the way sentences are constructed. This helps your brain feel how the language works, making it easier to speak with fluency and confidence, improving pronunciation and intonation. One of the biggest challenges in learning English is getting the pronunciation and intonation right. English, like many languages, has its own rhythm and stress patterns. By listening to native speakers or other fluent English speakers, you start to pick up on the subtle differences in pronunciation. You learn how to stress certain syllables, how to link words together, and how to sound more natural when speaking. This is why listening to different types of English content is so important. Whether it's movies, podcasts, music, or news, each source can help you improve your listening comprehension and pronunciation in different ways. Learning new vocabulary and expressions. Listening helps you naturally absorb new vocabulary and expressions. You might learn a word or phrase that you've never seen in a textbook, and you might also hear it used in context. This context is what helps you understand the true meaning of the word and how it's used in different situations. When you listen to conversations, you also get to hear how native speakers use informal expressions, idioms, and slang. This makes your language feel more authentic and natural. You're no longer just learning textbook language. You're learning how English is really spoken in everyday life. Enhancing your comprehension skills. Listening regularly improves your ability to comprehend spoken English. It helps you recognize words and phrases faster, which is essential when you're trying to follow a conversation. The more you listen, the better you become at catching those small words and sounds that might have been difficult for you at first. As you develop your listening skills, you'll also improve your ability to catch nuances in conversations, like understanding the speaker's emotions or the tone of the message. Boosting your confidence. Listening to English on a regular basis builds your confidence because it gives you the confidence to speak. The more you listen, the more you understand, and the more you'll feel comfortable jumping into conversations. You won't be afraid of what the other person is saying, because you'll have learned how to follow their words. This confidence boost is huge. It takes away the fear of being misunderstood, and it gives you the courage to express your own thoughts. How to use. Listening to improve your fluency. Now that we know why listening is so important, let's talk about how to use it to your advantage. How can you make listening a tool to improve your fluency? Here are some powerful strategies. 1. Listen. Actively, not passively. Many learners make the mistake of just listening to English content without actually engaging with it. To make the most out of listening, you need to listen actively. This means that you're not just hearing the words. You're paying attention to what's being said, how it's being said, and why. When you listen actively, your brain processes the information more deeply, which helps you retain the vocabulary, grammar, and structures that you hear. Here's how you can do it. Pause and repeat. After listening to a sentence or phrase, pause the audio and repeat what you heard. Try to match the speaker's pronunciation, tone, and speed. Take notes. Write down any new words or phrases you hear. Then, look them up and try to use them in your own sentences. Practice listening to different accents and dialects. One of the most exciting things about English is that it's spoken all over the world. As you listen, make an effort to expose yourself to different accents and dialects. This will improve your ability to understand English no matter where it's spoken. For example, listen to American, British, Australian, and other varieties of English. They all have different pronunciations, vocabulary, and even grammar rules. By practicing listening to a variety of English accents, you'll become a more flexible and confident listener, able to understand people from different regions or backgrounds. Listen to content that interests you. If you're not enjoying what you're listening to, it will be hard to stay motivated. So, choose content that interests you, whether it's movies, podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, or music. Listen to things that keep you engaged. When you're listening to something you enjoy, you'll find it easier to focus and understand, and you'll be more likely to stick with your practice. If you're not sure where to start, here are some ideas. Podcasts. Find podcasts about topics you love, whether it's cooking, sports, or technology. TV shows, movies. Watch shows in English with subtitles in English, so you can both hear and read the words. Music. Listen to English songs, paying attention to the lyrics. It's a fun way to improve your listening skills while learning new words. Listen to short clips and focus on details. Start with short audio clips or videos to focus on specific details. Try to listen to just 30-second or 1-minute segments and see how much of it you can understand. Then listen again and see if you can catch more words or phrases. This helps you focus on listening for specific information and helps improve your accuracy. Use transcripts and subtitles. If you're watching a video or listening to a podcast, try to find a transcript or subtitles. This allows you to read the words as you hear them, which reinforces the connection between spoken and written English. It's a great way to ensure you understand the material fully, and it helps with your spelling and vocabulary retention. Challenge yourself with speed and complexity. As you improve, try to increase the speed and complexity of the content you're listening to. Start with slower, simpler material, and then gradually move on to faster conversations, podcasts, or movies without subtitles. The challenge will improve your ability to understand English at a natural pace, which is essential when you're speaking with native speakers or in real-world situations. Conclusion. Listening is not just about hearing words. It's about actively engaging with the language to improve your understanding, pronunciation, vocabulary, and confidence. By listening regularly and actively, you'll improve your fluency much faster than you think. So, make listening a daily part of your routine. Choose content that excites you, challenge yourself, and always listen with the intention of learning. Thank you for being with me today. In the next part, we'll talk about how to effectively incorporate listening practice into your daily life and use it to boost your fluency even more. Stay tuned and keep listening. Part 6. Dealing with Mistakes. Welcome back to Easy English Spark Channel. I'm so happy you're here, continuing with us on this journey toward fluency. In the last part, we talked about the importance of listening and how it helps improve your speaking, pronunciation, and vocabulary. Today, we're going to dive into something that many learners struggle with: dealing with mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. But for many of us, making mistakes, especially in a language we're still learning, can feel intimidating, embarrassing, or frustrating. You might worry that people will judge you, or you might feel like you're not improving as quickly as you'd like. But the truth is, mistakes are not only inevitable, they are essential to becoming fluent in English. So, let's talk about why mistakes are so important and how we can change our mindset to embrace them as opportunities for growth rather than things to fear. Why mistakes are a good thing. When we make mistakes, we actually learn and grow. It's through our mistakes that we begin to understand our weaknesses, and once we identify them, we can work on improving them. Mistakes are feedback. They tell us what we need to focus on next in our learning process. The more mistakes we make, the more we can fine-tune our language skills. Think about this. Imagine you're learning how to ride a bicycle. You might fall a few times, but each time you get a little bit better at balancing. Each fall is an opportunity to adjust your position, your speed, or your direction. The same is true when learning English. Each time you make a mistake, it's like a small correction that brings you closer to fluency. It's important to understand that nobody becomes fluent without making mistakes. In fact, making mistakes is one of the best ways to learn. Even native speakers make mistakes in their own language. So, if native speakers make mistakes, it's completely normal for language learners to make mistakes too. The fear of making mistakes. One of the biggest obstacles to fluency is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners are afraid to speak because they don't want to sound stupid or imperfect. They're afraid that others will laugh at them or that they will say something wrong. This fear can be paralyzing and can stop us from even trying to speak in the first place. Let me tell you something. The fear of making mistakes is one of the biggest barriers to learning. If you're afraid to make mistakes, you won't speak as often and you won't improve as quickly. It's crucial to shift your mindset from fear to acceptance. Mistakes are part of the process, and every time you make one, you're one step closer to becoming fluent. Changing your mindset. Mistakes as learning opportunities. Instead of thinking of mistakes as something negative, try to think of them as opportunities for learning. Every time you make a mistake, your brain is absorbing new information. You're learning where you went wrong, and you're figuring out how to do it better next time. Here's an exercise you can try. Whenever you make a mistake, instead of feeling embarrassed or frustrated, stop and think about the mistake objectively. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this mistake? Why did I make this mistake? How can I fix it next time? This will help you approach mistakes with a growth mindset. Instead of seeing them as failures, see them as small stepping stones that are part of your learning journey. Mistakes help you remember. There's something very special about the way our brains work when we make mistakes. We are more likely to remember things that we've struggled with. So, if you make a mistake while speaking or writing, it actually helps you retain that lesson much better than if you get it right the first time. It's like when you fail at a puzzle, but then work through it. Your brain remembers the pieces you struggled with and makes sure to connect them in the future. When you make mistakes while speaking, your brain is actively processing the correction and storing it for future use. So, don't be discouraged by mistakes. Celebrate them. Each time you make a mistake and correct it, you're building a stronger foundation for your fluency. How to handle mistakes in conversations. When you're speaking with someone in English, it's normal to make mistakes. But what happens when you're speaking and you make a mistake? What do you do then? Here's how you can handle it gracefully. Acknowledge the mistake and move on. If you realize you made a mistake, it's okay to acknowledge it. You might say, "Oops, that wasn't right. Let me try again." This shows that you are aware of the mistake, and it gives you a moment to correct it. Then, continue the conversation. Don't let a small mistake stop you from finishing your thought or sentence. Don't apologize too much. Many learners apologize repeatedly when they make a mistake, which can make you seem unsure of yourself. Instead of saying, sorry, 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 just acknowledge it once and then keep going. Everyone makes mistakes. Apologizing for every little slip-up can take away from the flow of the conversation. Ask for clarification. If you're unsure whether you said something right or if you didn't quite catch something, don't hesitate to ask for clarification. It's perfectly okay to say, sorry, can you repeat that? Or, did I say that correctly? Asking. Questions shows that you're actively engaging and committed to improving your skills. Learn from your mistakes. After the conversation, reflect on the mistakes you made. Did you use the wrong verb tense? Did you mispronounce a word? Use that as an opportunity to practice. You might even want to write down the mistake and find a way to practice it the next day. Remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Practice makes perfect. Embrace your mistakes. The more you speak, the more mistakes you'll make, and that's a good thing. Practice, especially speaking practice, is the best way to improve. The more you put yourself out there, the more you'll learn, and the faster you'll improve. Remember that fluency comes with time, and with every mistake you make, you're building a stronger command of the language. No one is born fluent in English. It's a process, and mistakes are part of the journey. Final thoughts. Dealing with mistakes is all about changing your mindset. Instead of fearing them, embrace them as a sign that you're trying, learning, and improving. When you make a mistake, you're showing that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, and that's where the real growth happens. Next time you make a mistake, remember, it's not a failure. It's just another step toward fluency. So go ahead, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep practicing. The more you embrace your mistakes, the faster you'll become fluent in English. Thank you for joining me today on this important topic. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how to stay motivated and push through those moments of doubt. Keep practicing and stay positive. Part 7. Building confidence and overcoming shyness. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Spark Channel. It's great to have you with us again as we continue on our journey to fluency. In the last part, we talked about dealing with mistakes and how they can actually help you grow. Today, we're diving into an essential topic that many language learners struggle with: building confidence and overcoming shyness. I know that many of you, maybe even most of you, feel a little nervous when it comes to speaking English, especially with other people. Shyness can really hold you back. The fear of making mistakes, The worry that others will judge you and the self-doubt that creeps in can make it incredibly hard to practice speaking. But building confidence in your speaking skills is something that's absolutely crucial if you want to become fluent. So let's talk about how to build confidence in your English speaking abilities, how to overcome that feeling of shyness, and how to become the confident English speaker you've always wanted to be. Why? Confidence matters. Before we dive into the solutions, let's first understand why confidence is such a big deal. Confidence isn't just about feeling good about yourself. It's about believing in your ability to communicate. When you're confident, you speak more easily, your thoughts flow more naturally, and you're less likely to freeze up or struggle to find words. But when you're not confident, you might second-guess yourself, overthink every word, and be afraid to speak at all. This leads to hesitation, and hesitation often leads to missed opportunities to practice. And guess what happens when you don't practice? You don't improve. So, confidence is not just a feeling. It's a tool that helps you keep practicing and growing. Understanding shyness. Shyness is a natural feeling, but it can become a barrier when it comes to speaking a new language. Many learners feel shy because they're afraid of being judged or making a mistake in front of others. It's perfectly normal to feel this way. After all, speaking in a foreign language can be intimidating. But here's the thing. Shyness often comes from fear. And fear is something we can overcome with the right mindset and actions. So, how do we get rid of this fear and build the confidence we need to speak freely and confidently in English? Let's dive into some practical steps that can help you overcome your shyness and build the confidence to speak English without fear. Start small and build gradually. If you're someone who's feeling extremely shy about speaking English, it's important to start small. Don't try to jump straight into conversations with native speakers or give a big presentation in English right away. This can overwhelm you and make your shyness worse. Start with small, low-pressure situations where you can practice speaking English. This could be talking to yourself in English about your day, speaking to a friend or family member who you feel comfortable with, joining small online groups or language exchanges where the focus is just on practicing and not on being perfect. By starting small, you give yourself a safe space to practice without the pressure of speaking in front of a large group or strangers. Gradually, you'll build your confidence, and soon enough, you'll feel ready to take on bigger challenges. Change your mindset. Focus on progress, not perfection. One of the biggest barriers to confidence is the fear of being imperfect. If you're constantly worried about saying something wrong or making mistakes, your confidence will never grow. The key to overcoming this is to shift your mindset from perfection to progress. Instead of thinking, I have to speak perfectly, start thinking, every time I speak, I'm improving. Mistakes are a part of the learning process. They are not failures. They are opportunities to grow. Every time you make a mistake, you are one step closer to becoming a better speaker. Tell yourself, it's okay if I don't say everything perfectly. I'm learning, and with every attempt, I'm getting better. This shift will help you feel more relaxed and confident as you practice. Embrace the power of practice makes perfect. Confidence comes from practice. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become, and the more your confidence will grow. But here's the thing. Practice doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. If you're afraid to speak because you're worried you'll make mistakes, just remember, the more you practice speaking English, the less you'll worry about making mistakes. It's all about putting in the effort. So, make a habit of practicing every day. Whether it's speaking to yourself, practicing with a friend, or speaking to a tutor. The more you practice, the more your confidence will rise. Start by practicing in front of a mirror. This allows you to see yourself speaking and hear your own voice. It's a safe, judgment-free environment where you can make mistakes and correct them on your own. Eventually, you'll feel more comfortable with how you sound, and you'll become more confident in your ability to speak. Find a supportive language partner. Having a language partner is one of the best ways to boost your confidence. A supportive language partner can help you practice speaking without the fear of judgment. Look for someone who understands that making mistakes is part of the learning process and who encourages you to keep going. You can find language partners online, through language exchange apps, or even by joining language learning communities. It's important to have someone who is patient and who makes you feel comfortable when you speak. Knowing that your partner is there to help and encourage you will make it easier to overcome your shyness and speak confidently. Celebrate small wins and progress. As you continue practicing, make sure to celebrate your small victories. These could be anything from starting a conversation in English to remembering a new word, or even feeling less nervous about speaking. Every step counts. By celebrating your progress, you reinforce the idea that you are improving. This will motivate you to keep going, even on the days when you feel like you're not making much progress. Remind yourself that fluency is a journey, and every little win is a step forward. Use positive self-talk. Your internal dialogue plays a huge role in your confidence. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good at English," or "I'm too shy to speak," your confidence will stay low. But if you practice positive self-talk, you can boost your confidence. Instead of focusing on your fears or weaknesses, focus on your strengths and the progress you've made. For example, say to yourself, "I am improving every day. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning. I am brave for speaking English and I'm getting better." Positive self-talk helps to calm your nerves and keeps you motivated to keep practicing. Expose yourself to English regularly. The more you immerse yourself in English, the more confident you'll become. Watch English movies, listen to podcasts, or read English books. The more you hear and see English in context, the more you'll feel comfortable using the language yourself. Consistent exposure to English will help you feel more at ease when it's time to speak. Over time, you'll start to feel less intimidated by the language and more confident in your ability to understand and use it. Final thoughts. Building confidence and overcoming shyness is not something that happens overnight, but with practice, patience, and the right mindset, you can absolutely get there. Remember, everyone starts somewhere, and confidence comes with time and effort. Start small, celebrate your progress, embrace mistakes, and keep practicing. Over time, your confidence will grow, and soon enough, you'll be speaking English with ease and feeling proud of your journey. Thank you for joining me today. In the next part, we'll talk about how to stay motivated on your fluency journey and how to keep pushing forward. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, I got this! Part 8. Patience and Persistence. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Spark channel. I'm so happy to have you here again as we continue this exciting journey to fluency. In the last part, we discussed how to build confidence and overcome shyness when speaking English. Today, we're going to talk about something just as important: patience and persistence. If there's one thing I've learned from my own journey in learning new languages and from working with countless students, it's that fluency doesn't happen overnight. It's not something you can force. It's a process, and that process takes time. Patience and persistence are the two qualities that will carry you through the ups and downs of your language learning journey. So, let's dive into why these two qualities are so important and how you can develop them as part of your everyday learning routine. Why patience is essential. When we first start learning something new, especially something as complex as a language. It's easy to get frustrated. You might want to see quick results. You might feel like you're not improving fast enough, and this can lead to feelings of discouragement. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it can be. But here's the thing: patience is key. Learning a new language is not about instant results. It's about consistent effort over time. If you're looking for quick success, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead of focusing on the end goal of fluency right away, think about the small steps that will get you there. Every time you practice, every time you listen, speak, or read, you're making progress. That's the power of patience. Fluency is like planting a tree. At first, you may not see much happening above the surface, but below, the roots are strengthening. And after some time, your efforts will start to show results. Just like the tree eventually grows tall and strong, your English skills will grow stronger the more you nourish them. The importance of persistence. Persistence is equally important. It's easy to start strong, excited to learn, motivated to practice, eager to speak. But what happens when progress slows down? What happens when you encounter a difficult topic, or when you make mistakes that seem to slow you down? That's where persistence comes in. Persistence is the ability to keep going even when things feel tough. It's about sticking with it through the tough days, continuing to practice, even when you don't feel like it. The truth is, everyone has tough days. There will be days when you feel frustrated, and there will be moments when you feel like giving up. But it's the persistent learners, the ones who push through those tough days, that ultimately succeed. You have to remind yourself that every practice session, every mistake, and every moment of struggle is part of the journey. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them head-on and learning from them. Persistence turns challenges into opportunities. Patience and persistence in practice. So, how do you build patience and persistence into your language learning? Routine? How do you stay motivated even when things get tough? Let's talk about some strategies you can use to develop these qualities in a practical way. Set realistic goals. One of the main reasons learners lose patience is that they set unrealistic expectations for themselves. If you expect to be fluent in 3 months or become perfect in a few weeks, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Fluency takes time, and that's okay. Instead of focusing on being fluent immediately, set small, achievable goals. These goals can be related to specific skills, such as learning 5 new words a day, practicing speaking for 10 minutes every day, watching an English movie without subtitles, reading a short article in English every week. These smaller goals give you a sense of accomplishment along the way and keep you motivated. Celebrate each small victory and recognize that every goal you achieve is a step closer to fluency. 2. Create a daily routine. One of the best ways to develop persistence is to make practice a part of your daily routine. Think of learning English as something that you do every day, like brushing your teeth or exercising. If you wait until you feel like it, you might find yourself skipping practice because other things get in the way. A daily routine ensures that practice becomes a habit, not a choice. Start small. If you can only practice for 10 or 15 minutes a day, that's perfectly fine. The key is consistency. Over time, you'll gradually increase the amount of time you dedicate to English, but even on your busiest days, you'll have built the habit of practicing, and that will make persistence easier. Track your progress. Sometimes, when we're learning something new, it feels like we're not getting anywhere. We focus on what we don't know yet, instead of what we've already learned. That's why tracking your progress is a powerful way to keep going. Keep a journal or use an app to track your learning. Write down new words you've learned, grammar rules you've mastered, or speaking milestones you've achieved. You can even record yourself speaking at different stages to see how much more confident you get over time. When you look back at how much you've already learned, it can give you the motivation to keep going. Embrace the process. Patience and persistence come from embracing the process of learning, rather than just focusing on the end goal. Fluency is a journey, not a destination. If you love the process, you'll enjoy learning every day, even when things feel challenging. Enjoy the small moments of progress. Appreciate the act of learning, whether it's discovering a new word, understanding a sentence you couldn't understand before, or successfully holding a short conversation in English. Every little step you take is an achievement, and that mindset will help you stay persistent. Stay positive, even when it's hard. There will be days when you feel discouraged. Maybe you're not seeing the improvement you expected, or maybe you've had a difficult conversation where you couldn't express yourself well. On those days, remind yourself to stay positive. Instead of thinking, "I'm not improving," shift your mindset to, "I am improving," even if it's not obvious. Today, a positive attitude makes the process easier. When you embrace challenges and stay positive, you are more likely to persist even when it's difficult. It's all about building resilience. Why patience and persistence are your superpowers. Remember, fluency isn't about rushing or forcing results. It's about staying patient with the process and persistent in your efforts. Patience helps you avoid frustration, and persistence ensures that you never give up. The learners who succeed are the ones who trust the process and keep going, even when progress feels slow. If you stay patient with yourself, keep practicing every day, and remind yourself that every mistake is part of your learning, you'll get there. So, embrace patience and persistence as your superpowers. They will carry you through the tough times and help you achieve your goals. Final thoughts. Fluency is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about steady, consistent effort. Don't rush it. Trust the process. Be patient with yourself and persist through every challenge. With time, effort, and a positive attitude, fluency will come. Thank you for being with me today. In the next part, we'll talk about how to keep the motivation high and stay on track when you feel like giving up. Keep practicing, stay patient, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. Part 9. Practical use and real-life situations. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy English Spark channel. I'm so glad you're here with us as we continue our journey to fluency. In the previous parts, we've discussed a lot about mindset, confidence, and how to build the skills needed to become fluent. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most important aspects of language learning: practical use and real-life situations. While all the practice you've been doing, whether it's listening, speaking to yourself, or reading, has been essential, it's time to take your skills into the real world. Fluency isn't just about knowing grammar rules or memorizing vocabulary. It's about using the language in real, meaningful situations. That's where you'll truly see how much progress you've made. In this part, I'm going to share with you why using English in real-life situations is crucial, and how you can start incorporating it into your daily life, no matter where you are on your learning journey. Why real-life use is so important. You can study grammar, memorize vocabulary, and watch English movies all day long, but nothing compares to the experience of using English in real life. Real life. Practice is where the magic happens. It's where everything you've been learning comes together in a way that's practical and relevant to your everyday life. Why is this so important? Language becomes real and useful. When you use English in real-life situations, you stop thinking about the language as something you're learning and start seeing it as something you're using. For example, when you talk to someone in English, you're not just practicing vocabulary, you're actually connecting with another person. This makes the language feel more natural and useful because it's being used for a purpose, not just as an exercise in a textbook. You learn to think on your feet. In real conversations, you can't stop to think about every word you need to say or check a dictionary. You have to think quickly and respond in real time. This helps you improve your ability to think in English, which is a critical skill for fluency. The more you practice in real-life situations, the better you get at speaking naturally and without hesitation. You get immediate feedback. Real-life practice provides instant feedback. If you don't understand something, you can ask for clarification. If you make a mistake, people will correct you or help you out. This kind of feedback is incredibly valuable because it helps you learn from your mistakes and improve faster. It also helps you learn the language as it's actually spoken, with slang, idioms, and everyday expressions that you can't always find in textbooks. You learn cultural context. Language isn't just about words and grammar. It's also about culture. In real-life situations, you get to experience how language is used in different contexts, such as in formal situations, casual conversations, and even jokes or humor. Understanding these cultural nuances helps you become a more effective communicator, not just someone who can speak English, but someone who can connect with English speakers. How to start using English in real-life situations. Now that we've established why real-life practice is so important, let's talk about how you can start using English in your daily life, no matter where you are in your learning process. Speak to yourself in English. If you're not yet comfortable speaking with others, start by speaking to yourself in English. It might sound strange at first, but this is a great way to practice without any pressure. Narrate your day, describe what you're doing, or talk about your thoughts in English. For example, if you're cooking, you could say, "I'm chopping vegetables. Now I'm heating the pan. I'm making my favorite dish today." Doing this regularly helps you practice forming sentences and thinking in English. Over time, it will help you become more comfortable with speaking and will improve your fluency. Find a language partner or conversation buddy. One of the best ways to practice real-world English is to find a language partner. This could be a friend, a colleague, or even someone you meet online through language exchange apps or social media groups. Having a conversation partner helps you practice speaking in a supportive environment where mistakes are normal and learning is encouraged. When practicing with a partner, focus on having natural conversations rather than trying to speak perfectly. Ask questions and engage in discussions about topics you both enjoy. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. your language. Partner is there to help, and you can learn a lot from your errors. 3. Join English conversation groups or clubs. If you want to practice speaking in a group setting, join an English conversation group or club. Many cities and online communities offer meetups or virtual sessions where learners can practice English in a relaxed, informal setting. These groups are great because you get to interact with multiple people and practice various conversation styles, which is great preparation for real-world situations. If you're not able to find a group locally, online groups can be just as effective. Platforms like Facebook, Meetup, or Discord often host communities where English learners gather to practice. Join these groups, attend meetups, and start chatting with others. Watch movies and TV shows in English. Movies and TV shows are a great way to immerse yourself in real-life language. The conversations you hear in films or shows are often closer to natural speech than what you might find in textbooks. Watch English language films or series, preferably with English subtitles, to help you follow along. This will expose you to different accents, expressions, and vocabulary that are used in everyday conversations. Try pausing the movie after a scene and repeating what the characters said. This helps you mimic their pronunciation and rhythm. Focus on phrases or slang words you don't understand and look them up afterward. This builds your vocabulary and helps you stay up to date with how people actually speak. Practice in real-life situations. Don't wait for the perfect moment. To practice English, use every opportunity you can. Whether you're at the store, at work, or even talking to a stranger, look for ways to practice English in your daily life. Here are a few examples. At the store, practice asking questions or making requests in English. For example, you could ask the cashier, "Could you tell me where the bread is?" Or, "How much is this item?" At work, if you have colleagues who speak English, try speaking with them in English during breaks or meetings. You could also write emails or messages in English to practice your writing. In the community, if you're in a city where English is spoken, take the opportunity to interact with others. Order food at a restaurant in English, or ask for directions if you're lost. The more you expose yourself to real situations, the more comfortable and confident you'll become in using English in everyday life. Travel and use. English in different environments. If you have the opportunity, traveling to an English-speaking country is one of the most effective ways to immerse yourself in real-life English. It's an experience that forces you to use English in real-world situations, whether you're navigating public transportation, ordering food, or just making small talk with strangers. If traveling abroad is not an option for you, look for ways to bring English into your life locally. Visit local cultural events, join activities with English-speaking groups, or attend online webinars and virtual events conducted in English. Overcoming the fear of speaking in real life. Many learners hesitate to speak in real-life situations because they're afraid of making mistakes. The key to overcoming this fear is to embrace the process. Remember, fluency comes with experience, not perfection. Every conversation, no matter how small, is a chance to practice, learn, and grow. The more you practice speaking, the more comfortable you will become in these real-life situations. And remember, most people will be patient with you. They appreciate that you're learning their language and will likely be encouraging, not critical. Final thoughts. Using English in real-life situations is one of the most powerful ways to learn and grow as a language learner. By practicing in authentic situations, you'll see your fluency improve faster, gain confidence, and be able to use English in ways that are meaningful and relevant to your life. So, start today. Take advantage of every opportunity you have to practice English, whether it's speaking to yourself, finding a conversation partner, or interacting in the community. The more you use English, the more natural it will become. Thank you for joining me today. In the next part, we'll discuss how to stay motivated and keep pushing forward, even when things feel challenging. Keep practicing. Keep using English in real-life situations, and most importantly, keep enjoying the journey. Part 10. Enjoying the journey and celebrating progress. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Spark Channel. It's incredible to have you here with us as we continue on this exciting journey to fluency. In the previous parts, we've explored many aspects of language learning: confidence, persistence, mistakes, and real-life use of English. Today, we're going to focus on something that might be even more important than all of those things: enjoying the journey and celebrating your progress. Learning English can sometimes feel like a long road, and you might get frustrated or discouraged at times. But the truth is, language learning is not just about the destination. It's about enjoying the process and recognizing how far you've come. Celebrating progress is not only a way to boost your motivation, but it also reminds you of how much you've achieved along the way. So, let's talk about how to enjoy the journey, stay motivated, and celebrate the progress you make, no matter how big or small. Why it's important to enjoy the journey. Language learning is often seen as something to get through rather than something to enjoy. We set goals. We want to be fluent as quickly as possible, and we sometimes forget to take a step back and enjoy the process. But language learning is a lifelong journey, not a destination. If you're constantly focusing on the end goal of fluency, you might miss out on the small victories and moments of growth along the way. It's important to celebrate the process because it keeps you motivated. Enjoying the learning process keeps you energized and excited. If you only focus on fluency, it can feel like you're always chasing something that's out of reach. But when you enjoy the journey, you can find joy in the small steps and achievements along the way. It reduces frustration. Language learning is challenging, and there will be times when you make mistakes, don't understand something, or feel like you're not making progress. But when you focus on enjoying the process, those moments of frustration become just part of the fun. It's about enjoying each challenge, knowing that it's bringing you closer to your goal. It builds resilience. Learning a language requires persistence. When you enjoy the journey, you develop a mindset that's less focused on results and more on the effort and growth. This mindset helps you stay resilient through setbacks and challenges. By choosing to enjoy your learning journey, you can stay motivated through the ups and downs and continue pushing forward toward fluency. Celebrating progress, why it matters. It's easy to get caught up in thinking about how far you still have to go. But if you don't take the time to celebrate your progress, you might overlook how much you've actually achieved. Even small victories deserve recognition. Each step forward is a sign of your dedication, and celebrating those steps gives you the confidence and motivation to keep going. Here are a few reasons why celebrating progress is so powerful. It reinforces positive behavior. When you celebrate your progress, you're reinforcing the behaviors that helped you get there. Maybe you've been practicing speaking every day, or you've been learning new vocabulary consistently. By celebrating these actions, you encourage yourself to keep doing them. Celebrating progress creates a cycle of positive reinforcement, where the more you celebrate, the more you're motivated to continue progressing. It builds your confidence. Every time you achieve a small victory, whether it's understanding a conversation, completing a chapter in your textbook, or holding a conversation in English, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of more. Recognizing these achievements boosts your self-confidence. The more you celebrate your wins, the more you start believing that you are capable of mastering English. It keeps you focused on your long-term goal. Language learning can take time, so celebrating progress along the way helps remind you of your long-term goal. When you acknowledge where you've come from, it puts your ultimate goal of fluency into perspective. You'll start to see that every bit of progress, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to where you want to be. Ways to celebrate your progress. So, how can you celebrate your progress as you continue learning English? Here are a few ideas to get you started. 1. Track your achievements. One of the best ways to keep track of your progress is by writing it down. Journaling can be a great tool for language learners. Each day, write down what you've learned. This can be a new word, a grammar rule, or even a successful conversation you had in English. When you look back at your journal, you'll see how much you've accomplished, and that will motivate you to keep going. Another option is to keep a progress chart or use a language learning app that tracks your streaks and achievements. Seeing your progress visually can be incredibly motivating. Celebrate small wins. When you achieve something small, take a moment to celebrate. Here are some examples of small wins that you can celebrate. Learning a new word or phrase. This might seem small, but it's part of your growing vocabulary. Celebrate the fact that you added something new to your English toolbox. Completing a lesson or chapter. Finishing a lesson or completing an English task, like a reading or writing assignment, is a great milestone. Celebrate the accomplishment by rewarding yourself with something you enjoy. Understanding a conversation. The next time you understand an entire conversation or piece of dialogue without needing to pause or look up words, take a moment to appreciate your progress. That's a huge win. Speaking in English for the first time with confidence. If you've had a conversation in English without hesitation or nervousness, celebrate this moment. That's a big milestone in building your confidence. Treat yourself. Celebrate your progress by treating yourself. When you reach a goal, whether big or small, reward yourself in a way that feels special. Here are some ideas for treating yourself. Take a break. Sometimes the best reward is giving yourself some time to relax. Watch a favorite movie in English, or read a book in English that you enjoy. Do something you love. Celebrate with an activity that makes you happy. Whether it's eating your favorite food, going out with friends, or indulging in a hobby, take the time to enjoy your accomplishments. Buy something special. Treat yourself to something you've wanted, whether it's a new item, a course to continue your learning, or something related to your English practice, like a new English book or app. Share your achievements with others. Sometimes the best way to celebrate is by sharing your success with others. Tell your friends, family, or language partners about the progress you've made. Sharing your achievements not only reinforces your own progress, but also inspires those around you to keep going. Additionally, sharing your progress with others can encourage them to support your learning journey. This can make the process more enjoyable and create a sense of community. Reflect on your progress. Every so often, take some time to reflect on your journey. Look back at how far you've come since you started learning English. Reflect on the challenges you've faced, the lessons you've learned, and the moments when you thought you wouldn't make it. But you did. This reflection is an incredibly powerful way to celebrate progress. When you acknowledge how much you've learned and grown, you'll feel a deep sense of pride in your journey. This feeling of accomplishment will fuel your motivation to keep going. Final thoughts. Learning English is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a journey full of small steps, big wins, and moments of challenge. But the key to making this journey enjoyable is to celebrate the progress you make along the way. By focusing on your growth, no matter how small, you'll stay motivated and excited to continue learning. Remember, fluency is not just about the destination. It's about enjoying the process. Every mistake, every breakthrough, every new word learned, and every conversation held in English is a victory. So, celebrate it all. Thank you for being with me today. In the next part, we'll discuss how to keep your momentum going and continue to enjoy learning English. Keep practicing. Keep celebrating your progress, and most importantly, enjoy every step of this journey. Great work today. Every moment you spend practicing brings you closer to mastering your English listening and speaking skills. Remember, progress comes with patience and consistency. If this story inspired you or helped you in your learning journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Easy English Spark channel for more lessons and stories. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep believing in your growth. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep shining.